All right, this is the second example for problem number one. This is the trend analysis, and we're going to do actuals from 2005 to 2006. So this is trend '05, '06 actuals. So we'll know what this is. Okay. Now in the trend, it's always the later year minus the earlier year divided by the earlier year. How much did it change from the earlier year to the later year? That is to say, the difference between the two divided by the first year. But it's always the later year minus the earlier year divided by the earlier year. Now, remember when we did variance, we calculated the difference first and put that down. We could do the same thing here, but in trend, we're not so interested in the dollar amounts as we are in the percentage change. So we're going to do it all in one step. Again, it's a formula, so we need to start with equals, and it's going to be the later year minus the earlier year divided by the earlier year. Now, what that number is going to be right now, because this formula is incorrect, is going to be 566,979. Let's see what happens. 566,979. Why is that? Because look at the formula. It's F2, 566,980, minus C2 divided by C2, which is 1. So it's 566,980 minus 1. Because we forgot our basic high school algebra. And that is that if you want these two numbers treated as 1, you have to put them in parentheses so that it makes it the quantity F2 minus C2 divided by C2. So now when we do that, we'll get an entirely different answer, as you can see. But again, just like in variance, we don't have to do it all over again. We can just copy, drag it down. You have the answers. Go and format it as a percentage. And again, we're doing one decimal place. And there's your answer. So in this instance, they the trend they had a downward trend of 28% in this particular item, and an upward trend of only 0.3% in this item, but their overall upward trend is 6% or 0.6%. So even though their two negative numbers are very large percentage differences, and their positive numbers are generally pretty small, you come out to be a positive number overall. Again, when you're doing this homework, don't forget you have to make comments on what you can learn from this exercise and submit those with the calculations. All we're doing here is just showing you the mechanics of how to do this. Okay, the next one is going to be share analysis. So hold on. Okay, here we go. We're doing the final of the problems for problem one, the final of the type of analysis, which is a share analysis. So in this instance, we're going to do the share on the '05 budget. So you can do the share on either budgeted or actuals, and of course you can do it on any period. But we're going to do it on the '05 budgeted numbers. The share is always the piece, the individual item, divided by the total. It's very straightforward. So let's do that. Again, it's a formula, so we start with equals. It's this piece divided by the total. Okay, and look at that. I had this one formatted already, so you don't have to change it. Now we could then, as we always know, we can copy it, right? And we can just drag it down here. Oh my goodness, what happened here? Oh, you see, we forgot that this formula is dividing it by B8. B2 divided by B8. But what is this one? It's B3 divided by B9. But there's nothing in B9. And there's nothing in B10. and there's nothing in B11, and etc. etc. So we have to remember we have to make this back to an absolute address instead of a relative address. The way you do that is by putting a dollar sign in front of the column address and in front of the row address. Now, you remember it was 69.02 or something like that. Yep, there was 60.9. Same number. Alright, so now we're going to copy this, but this time we're not going to go all the way down to the bottom. Because remember in the share, we want to put in, we want to make sure that they add to 100% to make sure we didn't do something wrong. So in this column, we're going to say sum. And it's going to add those numbers up, and look at that, it's 100%. So we didn't do anything wrong, it adds to 100%. So it's very straightforward. Um, I'll show you one other tricky little thing since we have a little time, um, and that is, well, no, I'll show you to you in a different. I'll show it to you in a different movie. Don't forget when you're doing this, you have to try and say what do these numbers tell you about this organization. So now you have variance, trend, and this is share. So you should be able to finish your homework with no trouble.